Would you guys rather talk about your matchup charts first or your tier list?
Let's do matchup charts. That's more interesting.
All right, so I'm gonna let the viewers decide whose matchup chart do you want to see first. Do not say me or Omni's. You're not allowed. Fames? All right, Fames.
Oh, we're doing mine.
I guess Fames would be the most. So
fuck Fame.
Let me see. Let me scroll up in here so I can just see my own chart. Wait, how far back was it?
I have it up on the stream if you're looking at it.
Okay.
That's why. You see, that's why I asked you guys to send it to me so I could put it in the folder. I like to be organized.
Okay, so yeah, I have it up. All right, perfect. So, all right. So yeah, Voss, real strong character. So yeah, this is like my current matchups as of last week, because this is when we like got all this stuff together. And my opinions from last week hasn't really changed since I've been like on break because of like other games and plus R join myself. So yeah, I think this time around he has a really stable matchup spread compared to like last patch, since he only really has like 3 he has to worry about. But let's take it from the top. So like he has 2 6/4s at the moment, which is Cagliostro and Saurus. So when it comes to Cag, her problem is the same as Zoe's, but to an even greater degree. So even though she has a forward advancing move, it's hot garbage for sniping armor. The spears that come from the ground, those can like help snipe too, but they're way too slow to do on reaction. So he often has armor like 9 times out of 10 in the match. Pretty safe to like round start armor a lot of the time. And then when traps on screen, he has like 3 different moves that he can use to just clear out traps. Like tackle clears all of it. Stomps clears all of it. Fireballs clears all of it. Like
I played that matchup against him, and then I went to Charlotta after a first to 10 where I lost 10-0.
I'm glad none of you are watching the stream right. I'm glad none of you are listening to the stream right now because you'd hear me trolling Fame right now.
So let's say she like plays the footsie range, like Vossarog just out footsies her badly. Because like it's a lot of the similar Zoe issues, except to like an even greater degree. Because unlike Zoe, she can't really confirm her buttons like that at max range, unless she gets a counter hit. And you aren't really crushing Vossaraga buttons. She has a decent option against like armor moves with 5H, but it's inconsistent. Because like sometimes you'll get all 3 hits that hit me, and other times you'll get like 1 or 2, and then you eat like a counter hit stance starter and lose your entire round. But yeah, it's like I think even if this character got buffed, it would probably still be pretty bad. So it's like this is more like a mismatch than anything.
I have a question, Teiga.
Yep.
How do you want us to go about like talking about these matchup charts? Like
I feel like we could do like short explanations if you want to. If someone asks in the stream, we can like go in a little bit more in depth, but you could talk about it however you feel. I feel like most people are gonna like just ask about probably Cagliostro and maybe the matchups that have changed. Like in Fame's case, I guess it would be Percival. As far as I know from Fame's,
a lot of that 5.5 line are matchups that have changed.
But you could talk about whichever ones you feel like in depth. Yeah. I'm not gonna like press you to say, "Hey, explain every character matchup." It's completely up to you.
Okay.
Okay.
That should be fine. So,
especially since we have a lot of lists to go over, right? So.
Yeah. So, but if someone in the character, like one of the viewers asks, "Why is GBVS even?" So that would probably be one. Slight
Yeah.
advantage. So slight advantage. If so, in this line where you see Percival, Gran, that means Vansaraga has an advantage over these characters. If the first number is higher than 5, it's in their advantage. If it's just lower than 5, it's their disadvantage.
So yeah. But yeah, to finish up the 6-4 line Soares, that matchup didn't really change. That's just more like it's more like an archetype mismatch because Soares is just doing Voss's job for him. And none of Soares' buffs really affect that. So now we're at the 5.5 line now, like Percival. Alright, this used to be
Rip to that matchup.
this used to be Voss's worst matchup last patch. Cause literally Percival did Voss's job better than he did. Like straight up. Now this patch, it changed significantly. So like the first thing is that the damage going down off of his poke, so like no more like EX low and the full combo mid screen. Like helps with the risk reward, which also like the EX low being -4 means I don't get bullied on pressure as much. Fireball being slower and Vasaraga's 5H being faster means there's like a lot more risk of throwing out that fireball in neutral, even if you like say use the EX version.
I hate the fact they nerfed his fireball.
Yeah, EX DP invul nerf means that like I can actually like reasonably chip out Percival, and if he tries the DP stance when I have armor, they take like 6 to 8k on reaction. 5M got slower, which means I could use my far L a bit more in neutral to help like keep that mid range in check. So it's like a lot more even in that regard. Him being a lot more stock reliant also means I get armor even more than I already did, but in this case it matters more just because a lot of his moves are just worse in general. But yeah, I feel it's like 5.5 just mainly due to the fact that he doesn't really stop Voss from getting the resources, and the risk reward this patch is just a lot worse to deal with. But alright, let's see. Gran. Yeah, I thought the Gran matchup was even last patch, but Gran would have an advantage online just because of how responses would change. This patch, the main thing that puts it over the edge for Voss is the fact that Boot got the not only the advantage decrease, but the hitbox nerf. So it's like a lot easier to stuff since Vasaraga's buttons have a ton of active frames on it. They usually average around 6 active frames a lot of the time. And generally armoring through stuff's a lot easier. Risk reward on like EX fireballing stance in neutral is like really bad now, since you don't get a knockdown. But Grand Soul stands a pretty decent chance. It's just the neutral like is really rough this time around. So Zoe, I debated putting this 6-4, but her offense is like a little too potent in some situations for me to say it's 6-4. This matchup didn't really change aside from the fact that armor pretty much shut down any of like cute options she would have to like stop Vasaraga from like using armor and neutral in a lot of situations. That's the only thing that really changed. Narmaya, I think I had her at even last patch. Oh yeah, I definitely did. So the main thing with Narmaya this patch is the 5H change. Because like one of the main, it's like the 5H change from both characters actually. Because hers got a recovery nerf on defensive stance 4H, and then Voss got like the star decrease. So the 5H makes it so that it's a lot harder for her to like walk out of range and whip punish it a lot of time, which in turn also makes 2U stronger and just armoring up randomly in neutral. Other than that, the matchup remains mostly the same. It's more so like the 5H becoming 17 frames changes a lot of like random interactions that puts the risk reward in my favor. Other than that, same as last patch. Now, Fairy. Now this one. So Fairy got like a lot of like startup and like push, like startup recovery and pushback changes on our normals. This makes it easier for Voss to like mash in between her just trying to zone. Anti-air command throw chains makes it so that she can't really like just try to dip out of the corner. Very easy, just reaction anti-air command grab her back into the corner, and then you just make her guess again. Armor being more potent means that she doesn't really have a reliable answer anymore to like stop armor in neutral. And then the rest of the stuff is just like really bad risk reward, just due to the fact that she can no longer confirm far H into EX whip on normal hit from like most ranges. So that just really just pushes in Voss's favor. Ladiva, the only thing that really changed is that Ladiva not really getting max range hit confirms. Other than that, the match is pretty much the same. That just pushes it over the edge slightly. Catalina, this one's mostly due to like the EX Dwa nerf and the Fireball nerf across the board. So that just like makes it so that she doesn't really have like good rewarding options to stop armor. Even though she's the best at whip punishing Voss, it's like she doesn't get rewarded for it as much in this patch. So you can just really just mess people up. This would probably change if we had more offline and more cat players in general. But we lost like a lot of our cat players since like net play sucks. Alright. Even line. Somatera. This matchup got even better for Voss this patch, but the main reason I say even is mainly due to the fact that she's one of the only characters that kept the knockdown and EX Fireball and is still really potent. So she still has like reliable answers to armor. It's just that she has to play it out perfectly, which is why I never thought that she beat Voss last patch. It's like the room for error is too low, where you can just like randomly get tackled by Voss and then you just like lose right there, like straight up. Beelzebub, that match is mostly the same. It's just that Beelzebub just needs to be more mindful of like whenever Voss gets armor. Jita, mostly the same. However, I remember someone asking about this one, why it's even. So like, the reason this is even is that unlike some of these other characters, she doesn't quite have like the moves to stop Voss from getting armor neutral. However, she has the walk speed and the speed on her buttons that allow her to like play with Voss at the mid range. So for that reason, on top of like Voss having like really poor defense is why it was like mostly even. The only thing that really changed this patch was like the universal fireball nerf, making it like a lot harder to like try to check Voss at the mid range. And the universal DP nerf, making it a lot easier to like cover defensive options. So Lil Wayne, yeah, does surprisingly well against Voss. I thought so even last patch. The main reason for that is like Lil Wayne actually has a really good time like keeping Voss away. However, you need to strike a balance, because if you just run away too much, he'll get the armor, and then you're gonna get put in a bad spot. So like you need to play like a really nice hit and run game to just keep it in check. I would put it at 5.5 if Yiggy wasn't in the game.
Does Iggy give? Oh yeah, Vasaraga's kind of big and slow.
Yavas is too big.
You got mixed by me.
Fame, if you say the word, I'll play this stuff again. Just say the word.
I'll get him later. But but yeah, Zeta. I was thinking about this one. All things considered, Zeta has like a lot of nice things in neutral that people don't have against Voss. Is like the counter is probably one of the best answers against tackle I've ever seen. Because you can literally just hold backwards and then react.
No, yeah, that is a good point.
Laser, even though it's like not as good against other characters, it's really good against Voss because of armor denial. This makes it like one of the harder matchups to get armor against. However, the thing about this matchup is that once Vasaraga gets armor, it becomes like 6-4. I dare even say 7-3, because like her options against armor are really bad. Because like all of a sudden can't really use 6xx, can't use laser, can't even really press her buttons like that because they're slow. So she has to jump or guess with 5U, which this time around, if I'm using EX Walk in neutral and she tries to 5U me, I will take virtually no damage if I stance U on reaction. On Wake Up, if I have armor, she literally does not have access to armor on Wake Up. So it's on them to keep me from getting the armor and just playing it out when I do get it. But it's like really rough in a lot of regards, just because of how the way her defense works. She doesn't really have any throw involved moves like that, so she has to like commit to the jump or like fuzzy jump a lot of the time. Oh yeah, I'm assuming you're seeing the chat.
Realize I'm gonna need you to say some words.
Oh shit!
Oh, Vasaraga.
So- that one comment killed me, honestly. Oh shit! Son, I literally just asked
Oh, yeah,
Gambino, do
like-
you agree that with it being 6-4 once Voss has armor? But this man's like, no, it's 7-3, and that shit just killed me.
I think Real Ice has like an even more messed up opinion because we're same state. We both have fibers, so we have like pretty consistent one frame.
Oh shit!
So
That killed.
defense plays out in like a more reasonable manner compared to like being like him fighting other people.
That shit's ass, yo. That sounds insane.
Okay. Oh yeah, funny matchup. All right, now we're at the matches where he actually loses. So Lancelot, I thought it was even last patch, all things considered. However, there's one nerf this patch that just pushes it over the edge, and that's him losing stance autocorrect.
Give that back to Charlotta. Hold on.
I thought it wasn't gonna be that big of a deal, but then I saw Lancelot go behind me with turbulence.
And
2-2M or 2-2 it. I don't give a fuck about.
they should have. Yeah, that's a good nerf, but they should give it back to Charlotta though.
No.
Why not?
Yeah, I saw like turbulence go behind me, and then that like just completely messes with the RPS because turbulence simple input is on a down input. I can't just go low and try to hit someone from trying to mash turbulence.
Guess right.
That's right. He just say, "Oh, fight or flight, I'm out. Let me go back to the other corner."
It's so bad trying to like. It reminds me of pre-patch Charlotta where I couldn't mix her with stance RPS.
I'm out,
No,
fam.
I,
I'm
just,
out.
I had really good defense.
So, except arguably worse in this case because I cannot reasonably throw Lancelot because of how Turbulence works. Command Grove characters hate Lancelot, and Voss is no exception.
I mean, it could be worse. I don't need to remind you of the video from last season, right?
Wait,
I
what?
could be fighting Launch Lancelot, you're right.
Like, I still stand by that. I still stand by that video I made.
Clean.
But yeah, that matchup will stay losing so long as like 2-2 normal, like simple input is on down.
That shit will always be on down. And if you guys don't know if you guys don't know what video I'm referring to, it's this one.
I probably wouldn't be as salty if we had offline and we could just like, and I could just like fight Lancelot there. Well, like, this is all we have, and I'm definitely gonna be a salty bitch right now. Like,
This is a very accurate representation of what it feels like to fight Fan.
You just teleport.
bruh. Oh god. But yeah, I said enough about Lancelot, so let's go to Charlotta. So, last patch, it used to be 6-4.
6'4" Charlotta?
Yes.
Okay, so it's gotten better.
It was dog. Like, so it's like, so this patch on L ball, she's closer. So I actually get to like put her in a mix-up situation if I have to like block L ball. And if so it's like I can like press far L to like check buttons. 2M also does the same thing, but it'll also check both buttons and DP and allow me to anti-air. Well, buttons, DP, jump. Let me get that right. However, the problem with the ball change is that now I can't punish B ball,
Yeah,
which is kind of important. Which is kind of important because that's the one they use to crush buttons. So I don't get to press far L as much. Universal DP nerf for her in particular is pushback, so I actually get like a sizable punch without needing to spend my cooldown all the time. Love it. But more importantly, the reason why this isn't 6-4 now is because of the armor change. I can actually react to her DP hitting me. I don't get a punish, but I get to put her in another mix-up situation. Since she'll, like, the downward part of the DP will hit me standing, and then she's minus.
No cap. The only thing I'm complaining about in this matchup nowadays is they buffed his far M and far H, which I don't like.
They buff arm and damage.
I just don't like the decreased recovery. Like, what is that? But
it's only like a frame.
It's like the same matchup to me. It's just I have to make a little bit less mistakes, I guess.
So,
do you want to like give words on Belial, or could we just assume that because he's Belial that he doesn't lose this matchup?
So
I mean,
no, he had Belial in 5.5 or 4.5, 5.5.
He has Belial in 4.6.
Well, yeah, because I yelled at him.
I mean,
so I originally had him in 4.5, 5.5, and then I just like look back at who I was struggling against. Cause like cause usually with Bace, I would go even. Now she literally beating me like 10 to like 4.
Our last set was 11-3.
not my character, but real quick, I remember Nino Mai versus Kochikog at Rage. and that looked pretty bad. I know it's a first and tournament, but yeah, that matchup looks pretty garbage. I'm not gonna lie.
I had fun bullying Fame with Fire Mask with Belial for like 2 weeks. Fun times.
Also, Asmodeus is cheap, even against Vasaraga.
Man, this patch though, it's like this character though, it's like Voss can't deal with the fireball at all, like straight up. It's like he can technically armor up at full screen, but then the fireball eats away at armor moves unless it's like B tackle.
And armor only absorbs 3 hits, right?
Yeah, armor only takes 2 hits. The 3rd hit will knock him out of the move.
Oh, look at that. L and M follow-ups do exactly 3 hits.
Yeah, so like all follow-ups will like body him. Beef. So like you jump over the fireball. Yeah, B follow-up. On reaction. Profit. Dang.
Pain.
But it's like far H. But yeah, far H going as far as it does, like makes like a lot of his like -4 situations really bad. Like really bad risk reward all around. In general, it's just the risk reward is just garbage. In like all aspects of the matchup.
9
The only
frames.
thing he has
9 frames
So,
to
like,
startup.
Yeah. Yep.
Alright, so
So,
that
like, the
covers it for
main
Fame,
that-
I believe.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, the only
believe.
thing he has like in terms of advantage is like his defensive options against bots are actually not good. So he gets to like check like a lot of things on defense, and you can generally win off those responses. But other than that, it's like, yeah, bad.
Alright, so we got Fame to cover his matchups. Hold on. You want to take like a quick break before we go into the next character, or you want to go? Because I think it's Realize next, so because people ask for Realize. So Realize, you want to take like a quick break before you want to get into your matchups?
I don't mind. It's up to everybody else.
I don't care. Fame is funny.
All right, so we're gonna do Realize. Whoops, I didn't want that open.
I'm gonna start with Cagliostro. To be honest, I haven't really played this matchup that much, but I'm kind of just going by like on paper. I don't feel like she has a lot of answers to a lot of the things that Zeta does, as far as like mid range, even like with the projectiles and everything. She doesn't seem like she can do all that much, and her offense is actually pretty decent against Zeta because of the multi-hit normals and stuff like that. But I don't know, like a lot of her gimmicks doesn't seem to really work against Zeta either. So I mean, like I said, I haven't played it that much, but it just seems to be in Zeta's favor. Sori's, I honestly just don't think he has like answers to almost anything that she does. I don't really know what else to say about it, to be honest. And Luane, Beam kind of just kills Luane. He can't really use parry against her. Yiggy's pretty useless. He can't
I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, Yiggy's useless. Pretty much both of his supers are useless. He barely can even chip her because of the parry with Yiggy. And at mid range he loses, far range he loses, close range he loses. She doesn't have to deal with anti-air baits at all, like with this little, I think it's this jump. I'm not sure what that kick.
JU.
Yeah, she doesn't have to deal with that at all. Yeah, it's just a lot of reasons why I feel like that matchup is bad for Luane. Well, I will say he doesn't have to deal with Pogo though, so that's like one good thing. But I mean, like whatever. As far as the even, I don't want to go through all of these characters
That's
because like most of it is just the same to be honest. The only ones I'm gonna comment on is Matera, because a lot of people seem to think Zeta just like straight up loses to Matera, and I don't agree with that like at all. I just feel like if you don't do anything stupid, it's fine for the most part. And if you touch her, like she's dead. Like what does she do? So I mean, yeah. And Charlotta, I used to think Charlotta was kind of bad, but then I realized once I get the lead against Charlotta, she can't really do much except like try to force herself on you pretty much. And Zeta has pretty good answers to like most of her approaches for the most part. If anybody has any questions about them, I can answer though.
New York Punch asked, what did you say about the cat matchup?
I think that matchup is pretty even because I feel like both of their optimal ranges, which is around mid range, they don't really have much of an advantage on each other. I think the only thing is that Zeta does win like the fireball war, not war, but you know what I'm saying. Like she can't really shoot Zeta with fireballs at all, but I do think like the existence of one damage output and the I guess Stinger, whatever the Stinger move is, can clip up beam startup. Stuff like that.
So Nova Nozzle asked, what about the fairy matchup? And Quotes asked, why is the matchup even?
Who, Narm?
Yeah. So you asked about Narmaya and fairy.
Okay. So with fairy, so I think at most ranges on the screen that fairy has to take a lot of risk to keep Zeta in check. I feel like whether it's either Zeta, let's say jumping, or if she does any special moves, she has an answer to everything. But at the same time, Zeta can't. Like I get a lot of characters, Zeta can actually abuse a lot of characters with beam, but Fairy is one of the few characters that she can't, because at anywhere that's not full screen, Fairy can just counter hit her with was it far H into pull in, EX pull, EX whip. And that puts Zeta in a pretty bad spot because Fairy's also another one of the characters that it's pretty bad to try to wake up armor Fairy, which a lot of characters for some reason seem to have a lot of trouble dealing with Zeta's wake up armor. But I mean, it's hard for me to go through really like through a lot of specifics because I don't really know if the Fairy players are playing it correctly either. But yeah, that's just how I feel. I mean, and as far as Narm, I actually think Narm at mid range beats Zeta simply because her far H is like Zeta doesn't really have an answer to the fireball other than the hard read, the misfinder move, and at mid range I feel like Narm actually does very, very well against Zeta, but at the same time, Narm also like I don't know. Narm has a little bit of trouble, I guess, locking her down. So I don't know. That one's kind of hard to say, to be honest. I'm not really sure about that one, to be honest with you. So I just kind of just do it in even because I don't feel like Zeta wins or loses. Okay, Lancelot and Vasaraga. I'm gonna start with Lancelot because I fucking hate this character.
We know you do.
I actually don't think it's that bad. Like it's fine for the most part. Actually, we outranged, Zeta outranges Lancelot for the most part. She has pretty easy answers to a lot of his, situations. But the reason why I think it's bad is two reasons. One, I think on offense, Zeta has to do too much to lock him down, comparable to what he has to do to lock her down. Like if she gets hit by Lancelot, she kind of just has to just hold everything. Now, granted, a lot of characters do, but like she can't really do anything. While on his part, like if I'm pogoing on him or whatever, he can put me in like a OS 50-50 or wall jump. Wall jump is actually pretty hard to deal with as Zeta 2, things like that. So just those two things really make it kind of feel iffy, but it's not bad. It just makes it feel kind of ugly to play. Vasaraga. I mean, you pretty much already heard it from Fame. I actually think this matchup is pretty much even up until the point where either I get hit or he gets armor. If he gets armor, honestly, I feel like the round is over. Like once he gets armor, I feel like I lose because she just doesn't have an answer. Like she just doesn't have an answer to him just walking at her for the most part. But at the same time, she does do very well at stopping him from getting the armor. And then on knockdown, she kind of can, be really proactive and aggressive against him. And she does have like fuzzies against him as well. And a few other characters. I want to mention that she can fuzzy cat too. And a few others. But yeah, that's about it with Vasaraga. I will say that, yeah, just post armor is just really, really, really bad. Like arguably worse than Belial. And Belial, this character just man,
You don't even have to say much, man.
I, I
We
just don't know.
understand. We understand.
Belial's gonna get nerfed and still be able to beat Zeta.
Yeah, it's not even that he's just too strong. It's just the way his kit works is just it just kind of just beats hers. I don't know. It's like she just can't do certain things against the character where she can do against literally everybody else.
You can't zone him.
Imagine doing your projectile against Belial when you can reaction 5 you.
Yeah, like she literally loses a whole move, like a big move, a big part of her moveset. Like you just cannot do it against this character, like at all. Like I don't know. I don't understand, but yeah, that's below. I don't really want to talk about it like too in depth because it's really just gonna come down to him just being stupid, and UL's just there because she needs to save me. That's it.
All right. Who do you guys want to see next? So we've covered Fame, we've covered Realizes. And Realize was pretty quick. Someone said Naji. I've seen 2 for Bace. So someone said Cerise, but no one gave a Cerise matchup chart. I don't know why we would want to see depression like that.
Every matchup.
Oh.
All right, so we're seeing Bace. All right, let's see how Bace.
Wait, you actually stopwatched Real Life?
Yeah, everyone getting stopwatch now.
Stopwatch is pretty powerful.
Your turn, Bace. Let's go.
I don't want to go too in depth with this because it, with a lot of these characters, with Belial, it really just comes down to he's a little overtuned right now, right? But for the really advantageous ones, he doesn't care at all about Voss's armor, and he gets in there. Voss has bad defensive options, and it just sucks for him overall. He even has good buttons for mid range. For Matera, he doesn't care about zoning because of his trait. He can challenge mid range. He gets in there, she just dies. Ladiva just gets zoned and also gets buttoned and bullied. Zeta's kind of sad because her armor doesn't work against some of his stuff. Her projectile doesn't work. His far heavy is faster than her 2M. And yeah, he just bullies her. For a slight advantage, I don't think there's anyone that needs to really be talked about there, unless anyone has a question. But if you have a question, by all means, go for it. That line is kind of more on the he's just overtuned line rather than any specific. He's interacting with this character in some special way. Like it's not like that. He's just better. That's it, in my opinion. Closest to even. Oh my god, do I actually think this guy doesn't have an even matchup? It's all winning? Jesus. For closest to even, I think one of the few ways you can fight Belial is by having really far range and safe situations off of it. So for Zoe, she has those tools to do that. He can still win more because of risk reward situations. Like he gets hit, it barely hurts. She gets hit, it hurts a lot. But we can bully him a little bit more than usual. With Lancelot, he's just broken right now too. I think he's really, really strong. But Lancelot, I'm actually unsure about if it's 4.5 or closer to even. I feel like I might need to play that more. I'm not sure. With Cheetah, I believe in her movement speed and her button speed. Having the 8-frame normal with that fast of a walk and run speed is really important because she actually can counter hit him out of stuff and outrange him, except for like far heavy. But again, 8 versus 9, so it depends. Her MDP is good at fighting his pressure in general, and yeah, it's nothing too special there. She actually just can swing back as the TLDR. Very, like I said earlier, if you have a really, really far-ranging normals, you might be able to do something against Belial because he kind of really he's grand with more bullshit. Fairy kind of swings halfway across the screen, so he just can't lose neutral because if he gets in, he's gonna die. I don't know, Fairy's just good. Is that the whole chart already?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Unless anyone has questions about some of these evens, it really, or not evens, but slight advantageous matchups, it really just comes down to he's a little bit overtuned in all regards. It's literally a frame or two or like a few hundred more damage in every situation.
Actually, have a statement or a question. Actually,
Sure.
so how would Jada be closer to even than Charlotta?
I think Cheetah has more tools to directly counteract what he wants to do.
I'm specifically saying this because I think one of Bilal's greatest strengths is the mid-screen damage and risk reward, and most of those characters on that line don't do that. So I think that's a pretty big problem, in my opinion. And I do agree with the out neutraling thing because that's just his character. But
Well, to say
I-
something real quick, since someone said this in the stream chat, that line isn't even. That's not a 5-5-5 line. I don't think he has anything even. I actually just think he wins all the time, but it's varying degrees of winning.
I think Charlotta can not do as much damage mid screen because he does the most damage mid screen in general, but he can, or like she can at least match him, if that makes sense. I think like if you see other Charlottas play the matchup, you can at least see it where like it's kind of similar to Grand where she can match his pacing, even though it's really annoying for her because she has to move around projectiles, whatever, etc. Good jump too.
I think so with Charlotta, she's one of the ones that you actually probably could put, closest to even. It really depends. It really depends on the person you ask.
Yeah,
Actually,
I think I could see it being a 5.52, and I mean, once you get to my list, like you'll see it. But I mean, I don't know. I actually think she's one of the best characters at fighting Bilal, in my opinion. That was just
she's
my thought.
definitely one of the better ones. As, she definitely does better than a lot of these other characters. But yeah,
Yeah, that was it though. I agree with everything
I
else.
think seeing Gamera also beat a lot of Belisle's kind of like further solidified what I thought about Cheetah's buttons and stuff and how she can do things around him. But if it feels bad to you, it's not your fault. It's just Belial. Don't worry about that. I'm not gonna lie. It's just hard. Uh, and as far as Cat goes, he can contest her. That's it. Like nine frame far heavy versus 9 frame far heavy. 9 frame far heavy versus 9 frame far M. He just outputs way harder than her.
That was actually pretty quick. I think it was like 6 minutes. So we have someone asked who's left. We have Tempest, me, Omni, Naji, and Diaphone. All right, so I've seen two Naji. Oh no, okay, I see two votes for me. So I guess I do. Yeah, okay, so we're doing Naji. Naji, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, my boy.
All right, let's go, Mr. Toxic. Jesus. I'm gonna just say I call Cap on slight disadvantage for Percival, but I'm gonna let you speak your piece, and you
Oh,
can
of course
start.
you think that way. You always feel some way towards Cheetah. Anywho, I guess we would start with Ladiva. Honestly, think Ladiva honestly gets cooked by Cheetah. Honestly, Diva can't really do much against Cheetah's neutral. Cheetah can definitely like keep Ladiva far away with a whole bunch of buttons. How I usually play the matchup, I just throw fireballs until they roll, and then once they roll, just punish them with M. Like it's really like such a brain dead strat. Like it's like I'm playing Street Fighter all over again when I play like any character against Geese. And it's like it just seems so easy because like I got EX record to knock down, and I can just bully as much as I want. And for the most part, Ladivas is always worried about my approach as well, since like Cheetah just kind of just gets in and just does whatever the hell she wants. Um, in Sora's case, Sora's, he just has to get in. It's the same. It's like I'm playing against a grappler, but I'm not. Like Jita has some really like nice buttons when it comes to the cast. That's why like if you look at the chart, like most of the cast is pretty much even. Because once Jita gets in, you're kind of like, okay, I have to worry about a whole bunch of safe pressures and like a lot of like clutch situation. It's also like I feel like I'm one of the only Jitas that like really uses the Rekka guess game, whether or not I'm a finish or not. So there's gonna be cases where I would just throw EX Rekka and you're gonna think, oh, it's unsafe, let me punish, and I'm just like, no, fuck out of here. I'm gonna just I'm gonna just finish it. Yeah, there's that. Like I said, um majority of the cast is pretty even. The only surprise pick you might see is honestly Bilal being a little even, but like I said, I do think Bilal has most of the necessary tools to beat Jita, but so does Jita. Like I said, Jita really just like plays neutral pretty well. I was actually one of the advocates who's like, Bilal might be a little bit fine, but I think I was being a bit biased when I said that Bilal was fine. Because like I said, Jita doesn't really struggle against Bilal like majority of the cast does. Like it seems like a really viable matchup. The fairy nerfs, since I'm gonna just skip the fairy. Fairy just seems like it's more fightable. I can actually throw a fireball at her. For like, thank God I can I can actually be at mid, like full screen, and I can actually play the freaking game. For the most part, like she does have like options against my fireball and stuff like that. But if I'm making the right reads against Fairy, I should be fine. But the Jita Fairy matchup used to be horrible, and I really do feel like it's way better, like way better this season. In terms of Matera, that matchup I do think has gotten better as well. Like as well, due to the universal fireball nerfs, like I'll have no like incentive to like throw fireballs against like against Matera like at all. Like one time in against Matera, she basically just gets deleted. Like if you make the right reads again, you'll be fine. An interesting character as well. Beelzebub. Beelzebub is definitely a Shoto killer, but I definitely feel like if you're not throwing fireballs against Beelzebub, you should be fine. As long as you react to his teleporting and stuff like that.
Oh,
Don't like dive too deep. Like if you just let both like Beelzebub players kill themselves, they're just gonna kill themselves. Like majority of the time, it's just I'm gonna do auto combo and I'm gonna mix between doing an overhead and I'm gonna just do EX low and then you're just gonna eat damage. It's the
uh,
usual stuff.
actually, sorry to cut
Um,
you off here. Actually, but I actually
it's
want to comment on Beelzebub since I actually played this match with a decent amount. So it's like, yeah, this patch of like as you said, like the fireballs is like you can't really like use them. But like another thing that changed a bit is his ability to like stay away from Shotos and such because they buffed his B dive and then teleport in general. It just lets him like stay out of Jita's preferred range and just slowly
mm,
chip her away. So if the Beelzebub's not acting stupid, they can generally just like slow down the pace of the match and make you have to like go to them.
yeah, like it's definitely like that, like little bit of like guessing game. I feel between like it's not just like the guessing game. Like I always have to guess whether he's gonna do a dive kick or not, or if he's gonna teleport, or if he's just gonna sit back and just throw fireballs a day. Like if a Beelzebub player does that, it's definitely gonna feel a bit harder. But like I haven't really played anyone yet who's really like challenged me that much of Beelzebub to make me feel like okay, maybe this matchup is really much of a problem. I think it's annoying, but it's definitely not a problem
Yeah, I
personally.
should get my Beelzebub back.
um, Boss, I honestly think like maybe Vegeta can beat Voss. My thing is, I'm still a little lost in the matchup. No matter how many times I play the matchup, I don't think I'm gonna do good in that matchup whatsoever. Like, there's literally only you I can practice with, and I just get demolished every single time because there's OSs upon OSs upon OSs. It's like Jesus, like please let me just play the game.
No, you
Like,
don't get the mash.
I don't get to match, especially with the universal DP nerfs. Now you can just pressure me, and you don't have like a lot of risk involved when it comes to like pressuring me at all. But in terms of the evens, that's about it. Oh, and Luane, uh, Luane, he's just Luane. Like I do think Luane is in a way better spot. Like way better. Like honestly, I'm done undermining this character. I may have like a iffy record against Luane players, but during this patch, I've never struggled fighting against a separate character. Like every other character is probably giving me the same issues except for Luane. I do like okay. So for example, I throw EX Fireball. EX Fireball is not really much of an option now because I can't get the random knockdown no more to start pressuring him. Um, I knock him down in the corner. Save. I can't really save jump Lil Wayne no more either. Like save jumping is not an option since Lil Wayne got the buff to his armor move. So now anytime I'm about to land, I'm gonna just get smacked away, and then Lil Wayne can just start whatever he wants to start. Um, again, charge EX Fireball. Charge EX Fireball loses to missiles, like free. So I can't even use that as like a free get in tool. Uh, So most of the majority of the time, I'm forced to probably play neutral around Luane, and Luane just says, "Haha, I got my boys. Time to trip you up, my boy." Like it's just like it's a little more annoying, but it's still fightable. But that's my take on that. Alright, so the only matches I really feel like Jeter really loses is definitely Percival and Zeta. Percival. Listen, I know I'm probably about to look at Teiga's face. He probably think I'm talking some hard cap right now. But listen, every Vita player is going to agree with me. Percival is nonsense. I can't like like I can't do anything. Like I have to play around so much stuff. I can't throw a random fireball while he throws fireball. It's not gonna do nothing. What? I threw out my EX fireball for what? Look, just to get a little smidge of HP. Just a little smidge. It wasn't worth it, right? I guess it wasn't. Um, I can't punish far H from whiffing. With Rekka, medium Rekka does not go that far, and nor does EX Rekkas. So I can't get a solid punish off of him whiffing any of his buttons unless I'm right on top of him. But most likely, I'm gonna get counter hit even if I do try to approach. And then getting DP by Percival was such a huge threat. Like it just feels like, oh, once I'm out, I'm out. Like I probably lost my only chance of probably winning the match unless he does something really, really stupid, which is a good chance he's not. And I'm only saying, like only person I should say I like really lose to is Teiga's. Of course, I do feel like Teiga is like the best Percival, like hands down. But it's like I do feel like nothing to Percival players. I do feel like y'all do play the matchups wrong, so y'all will think it's even. But honestly, if you play it a bit slower, you will see that Gita will just honestly kill herself just trying to fight Percival. And Zeta, I definitely thought Zeta and Gita went even in season 1. I don't think like she had to deal with Pogo mix too much. Like fighting like Zeta in neutral wasn't really much of a problem back in season 1. The only thing you really had to worry about was just getting knocked down and then getting Pogo mixed. So now that they've buffed Zeta's buttons and like all that other nonsense, it's like I feel like I can't win neutral like whatsoever. Like I do feel like once I get hit and I get knocked down, I'm at the mercy of Zeta until Zeta messes up or I just get lucky. And I'm always going to be at Zeta's mercy. I have to I can't throw fireballs. Zeta, you already know she can throw fireball and it just goes through other fireballs. So and like I said, throwing EX fireball is not even an option. It's just going to trade. And then still back in the same situation, and Zeta is still gonna have her fireball and I still have to work my way in. Zeta's armor, I can't really like beat it. I can still dodge it for her options. Like if you do decide to knee out the corner, I still can't anti-air because Jita doesn't have like the best anti-air. Like it's definitely like a little bit slower on startup. Like it definitely does feel like Zeta honestly just like defeats a lot of Jita's options when it comes to neutral. And then on the same time, I'm not getting the same reward of getting knocked down. I do feel like once I get knocked down,
I just want to say you can 5H the knee. Close 5H.
You
But
said
yeah.
that like a masher would. I don't know. It was just a hunch, but
If
I don't
you're
know.
not confident, you also have like the universal option with air throw, but obviously like you want to do more damage, right?
Don't worry. I play Charlotte. I hate the knee too.
I recently just started like 2Hing her when she knees. I'm like, oh, you chose death today, I see.
You know, I didn't get an anti-air until this patch, and I still have never used it in a match once, so I don't know. It's kind of weird.
yeah, like I can't yeah, and that's another thing. I can't consistently anti-air Zeta. Anytime Zeta jumps, I have to still worry about the threat of her diving upon me. Like
Anti-air bait, yeah.
yeah, and then like I said, Jita still doesn't have the best fast anti-airs neither. So like it disguise is all Zeta. So it's like whatever Zeta approaches when it comes to me, it's like I kind of have to hold that in like certain cases.
At this point, when Zeta jumps, I'm like, either I'm gonna die or you're gonna die.
Do
But
you
one of
really
us is
do
dying.
X?
Say again?
Do you really 2-2-X her when she jumps?
Oh no, I admit. Yo, ask real life.
Teiga literally will just sometimes just do nothing or just try to kill me. Like that's it.
Like either I'm gonna die or you gonna die. One of us is gonna die, and I'm fine with this. But one of us will die today.
Y'all are weird.
Omni, for some reason, is the only Lancelot to just SSBA me when I jump.
I wouldn't know. Omni's a cheater. Omni hit me with the most legendary bait I've ever seen. I remember a little off topic. One time we were playing in NLBC. I think this was the first NLBC of season 2 or something. Losers finals. I literally tried to. He did turbulence, right? And I think I tried to deep EXDP. He did SSBA, and I lost a round. I'm like, oh my gosh! I actually got hit by the final, like, what's it called? The final last resort. There we go. I got hit by the last resort. I'm like, what?
Yo, it'd be like that sometimes. All right, so we have 2 Lance. Since we're talking about Lancelots, right? We have 2 Lances. We have myself and Omni Scythe. So, which one of us do you want to go first? I feel like on principle I have to let Omni go first, just for him to explain why the fuck did he give his Sweet Coon Tims, because I still demand an explanation on that one. But
Why not track all together?
I was thinking the same thing, but I'm not sure.
all right, I have. So the funny thing was, like, despite the fact that I was the one who organizes, I actually did not look at OmniSite's matchup chart in order to keep like the expectation of not expectation, but like kind of the random factor involved. Because I'm pretty sure if we look at each other's at the same time, it'll be quite different. Actually, that's actually a really good idea. Let's see if we can do that. So I'll open up mine, and then I'll open up Omni's. So there's Omni's. Where the fuck is mine?
So
Okay.
I should mention, in proper roundtable style, I was just playing against the fact the entire time everyone else was doing matchup charts.
Bruh.
Wait, what happened?
Okay.
I'm like, I pretty much did the exact same thing during the Lance roundtable, so it's all even.
All right. So we have Omni Scythe is the one on the left. Mine's is the one on the right. Hold on, let me look in Streamlabs and see how this looks to y'all. This looks kind of okay. This looks kind of cursed. Give me a second as I like try to fix this, or try to fix it at least. All right, so that'll do for now, I guess. All right, so we and him both agree that he beats Matera and Ceres. You could start on me on which character you want to talk about first.
All right, so in Matera's case, she's in this weird boat where her projectiles isn't as strong as they should be against Lance because his sweep just absolutely dominates the field unless he has low shot available. And even when it comes to anti-air, if you ever experienced Lancelot's wonky hurtbox with JU, if you could probably imagine what happens to her. Sometimes she gets lucky, and the weirdest thing happens where JU happens. She does think it's 2C or 3C, and Lance lands backwards while blocking, and actually has frame advantage, so he gets the match first. It's really wonky how that tends to go with that character. But overall, once he's in, she's just never getting back out. If she does attempt to get out via like arrow shots, it's like super high risk, very low reward. At best, you might get a JA to just go over his option, his ATF. On the other case, you're gonna eat 5K if you try to escape the corner. It's very bad for him. And in Ceres' case, it's just a matter of Lance doesn't really have to hard commit at neutral at all. He can just sit. He can let Swords get all the armor he wants. There's a good chance he'll actually never utilize it the way the match tends to go, unless you just do very low chip damage and he gets the blue without dying. Then he can armor up, and the armor is pretty effective in the matchup. Like from that, if he gets like the 4-stock armor and Lance get a random 6/6 H in normal and neutral and it hits, he's actually going to survive, which is normally a death sentence for everyone else once they get the blue. But overall, one of the negative Swords got going for him is that he can't armor EX Ice because Lance could just run up and throw him right afterwards. It's like that for almost every character that has to deal with like an armor reversal. You got anything to say about the two, Teiga?
So Matera, I like. It's actually funny because I know I'm gonna maul her. I'm just like, how am I gonna maul you today? Like, I don't want to say that like Lance versus Matera should be like considered a buy in tournament, but it's like never really that much of a concern if you lose a game because it's just like the moment you get knocked down, it's whatever. Like you don't have a 6 frame. I mean, you don't have a 5 frame, so like you could just easily pressure her and she just has to take it all. At worst, she trades. Her SBA is slow, so she can't do anything about wall jump mix-ups. Her SSBA is equally as slow, so again, if I wall jump, she is forced to block it. She can't challenge it in any sense. Her what is it? I don't know what the shot is called. It's the diagonal shot that rains down. You can bait that out with Lance. So like if you if you're trying to if you're in the mid screen range and you feel like she's gonna Tiger knee shot you, you could literally just jump you at like a certain rate and then just sweep her, and now she's knocked down and she just lost like the only thing she could have used to anti-air her, and now you get to pressure her. 5L, 2L, 5H is a legitimate frame trap against her. She cannot press anything. She has to eat all the suppression. There are like actual checkmate situations in the game that are just like she Lance has let's say like post SBA knockdown in the corner. Lance has legit checkmate situations if you spent SBA the moment you do that and you're like in chipping range, you've already just lost the game. Oh, great fall is the hour rain move. Thank you, old man Chris. Like, I feel like Lance could just easily get checkmate positions versus Matera, which I don't think I can do versus most characters in the game. Cerise is weird because it's like I don't feel uncomfortable in most ranges. So if like even the mid screen where he's like trying to rush punch me, if he tries to rush punch, you can easily just react it into you and get the knockdown. The only thing that Cerise has like a hand on is the fact that if you try to like M-Rekka him, he can armor. And I really don't want to fight Cerise when he has stocks because I was using M-Rekka, so I'll just use L-Rekka and just keep a little bit of frame disadvantage. Otherwise, the matchup is pretty fun. He doesn't have a real reversal. EX kicks is -7, so that's M punishable. But yeah. Oh, wait 1 second. I said Lorraine was also 6'4" because I feel like honestly, Lance Lorraine feels like a handicap in a sense that I can say with utmost confidence I have never fought human pyramid attack. Well, let me not say I've never fought it, but like if I was to ratio how frequently I fought human pyramid attack versus SSBA, the ratio would probably be like 7-3, 8-2, somewhere around that range. Because I feel like Lance is just gonna maul Luane, and in an effort to get you off of him, he'll pop Iggy. So because of that, and I feel like because of that, and the fact that like everyone was labbing Iggy, I would say like week 1 or week 2 of the character, that just gives me a good advantage because I'm already aware of what I have to be prepared for. So it's just like, okay, I'm gonna maul you, and if you do anything stupid like call call Catalina bot or try to like call your bros, I'm gonna sweep you. Or in some cases, if he does like 2M and calls bros, that's a free 5H punish. So it's just like, I'm gonna push you into this corner, and you're gonna take this mix, you're gonna take the suppression, and I'm gonna wait. You'll call mom, and I can easily deal with mom. So it's just like, okay, there's really nothing to be afraid of in the matchup. The only thing that's really concerning is just like if he has a too big of a life lead and he just starts calling EX Catbot, and it's like, okay, now this might be a problem because he can possibly call out EX Turbulence, but otherwise I'm just like, I'm chilling at most times. So the one thing I do like is the fact that we both acknowledge that Vasaraga is a slight advantage for Lancelot. So you can start on that one.
Yeah, so even with like the new changes to like the reduced startup on some of his moves, which is definitely felt. Oddly enough, the change to projectile, which makes it that if one single hits, it's just continuously going to keep going despite the distance. So originally, when I fought Fame, where it was like much closer to even, if I would do EX Fireball on neutral and run behind it, Fame would just hit me with 5H, and it would clock me. The Fireball would just disappear. That'd be it of it. Nowadays, if he 5H me and the Fireball hits him at the same time, the Fireball holds me in place so I could, at best, get a 6XL follow up, and at worst, I still keep plus of it. So it's the little things plus the nerf to his stance, which allowed Turbulence to just jump behind him. It became pretty rough for him. like Lance never really had a problem closing the gap and preventing him from getting armor. So you have the choice, like you can let him get armor, and then it like Lance can still fight him with armor. Surprised me because Lance is built that way. But you can also just never let him get armor, get to the corner, and pretty much unless you get greedy and attempt to do EX Fireball, you can force him to sit in that corner for like most of the match until he at least get like an EX Fireball or similar. Anything you want to add on?
Nope. I just want to say that Lance built different in that matchup now. Turbulence is God, and I will never have to stay in the corner for more than 15 seconds. Actually, let's go with more than 5 seconds because I'm not trying to stay in the corner versus Fame. No.
Oh yeah, especially like we have to vary our timing now because that command throw is pretty disgusting. The number of times I thought I was escaping only to get yeeted back in the corner is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the only rough part. But I'm just like, okay, that's fine. I'll take that. I'll take that sacrifice. And just to like reiterate for anyone who's like who's new here, I color coded it just to make it easier. So green good, red bad, or closer to red is bad, yellow is neutral. What other matchups did we say? So instead of like talking about the matchups that we agree on, let's talk about matchups that we disagree on.
Actually, I have no opinion on Catalysto, so if you wanted to speak on her, feel free to like take the board on that.
So CAG, I feel like is pretty even currently. Just from my experiences playing the matchup, I can treat it like I don't know who I'd make a like actual comparison to in terms of characters, but the neutral game isn't as bad as I thought it would be, considering that like you could actually with Punisher moves, which was a problem with Vegeta. So because of that, like it helps secure the knockdown. So if if CAG does like 5M, that's a free 5H with punish. If if CAG does 2M, that's a free blade impulse. Like if we want to keep it like really, really basic, half of CAG's normals and neutral could just be with punish by blade impulse. And then you use that to secure the knockdown, use it to push her in the corner. She has to take the mix, just like anyone else. And it's better in the sense that she doesn't have a DP, or her only bust out is SBA, which is blocked. If it's blocked, it's actually great for Lance because it puts you at like tip 5H range, but it's not so much at the tip that 6-6C isn't a natural combo. So you'll get like 5H, 6-6C, and you get close 5H right after. So it's just like, okay, cool. So I think the thing that makes it a bit challenging is just dealing with traps. But at the same time, the moment you get in on her, it's just like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna maul you now. Things that you do have to be aware of is like her little bullshit teleports. But because of how fast Lance's normals are, the moment you see a teleport, you could just easily just press a button and challenge her. So I feel like there's really nothing that gives CAG an actual edge in the matchup in a sense. But at the same time, I'm still kind of a greenhorn at the matchup, so I can't say if there's anything that gives Lance a natural advantage in the matchup. So that's just my opinion on it. We agreed on Narm. You said Lowain was advantageous. We agreed on Ladiva. So you said Fairy. You beat Omni. Lance beats Fairy.
Yeah.
Whereas I said it was even. So the only reason I said this matchup is even now is because dive kick is toxic. That is it.
Yeah, dive kicks is man, that's the most horrible thing. And I wish they gave Lance dive kick as a follow up from JU, but that'll just get people really mad that I even suggested such a thing. So I hope Arceus actually listens and does it. I mean, hey, why not? Give Lance a dive kick. It makes sense. It'll vary his timing. He still gets clocked if anyone asks the Oasis to teleport. Sounds good to me. But yeah, pretty much the way the fairy matchup tend to go now is that with this 100% less, like not 100% less, sorry. So she doesn't get hard knockdown into mix nearly as often as she was getting in the 1.0 version. It's to the point where I would gladly guess wrong and neutral, take an M because I know she can't follow it up and just go about my business. Where before, like I had to be super safe. I don't even want to sweep. I don't even want to challenge her to you. Now it's just go ahead, eventually get desperate enough to throw out the rope, and then I'm just going in. There's like little things that that is definitely more annoying. That's just actually no, I can't think of a single thing that's worse. It just feels great. That matchup just feels great now. I have no issues with the matchup outside the fact that Fairy's still kind of cursed. But what's your take on it?
I need a second.
Can't do Omni cythe. I'm also still in the camp that makes sweep special cancelable.
Excuse the fuck out of me, what?
Okay, we found the glue sniffer people.
Oh, okay. I think I'm good now. I think I'm good now. Yo, Omni cythe is
I
about
can't
to...
believe the audacity of this man.
Omni's on that Florida tap water.
All right. I think I'm good now. So I do think like Lance can contest her in most ranges. I do, but I think like the problem now is that if you fight like someone like Steve-O, who will use Fairy's dive kick as a really good like way of opening a person up, it becomes a bit harder because of the fact that despite her having a 6 frame, she can still kind of trade with you. So I think like outside of that one neutral tool, which is pretty abusable versus Lance, I do think Lance kind of just fucks her up. I may be weighing dive kick a little bit too heavily, but at like if I was to say like how would I like if I was to like keep an open mind with this matchup, I could say that Fairy is slightly advantageous versus Fairy. So there's that. She also bleeds, so there are a lot of things working against her in this matchup. So you might be right. I might actually say this might be slight advantage. What else is there? Not really not much. It's also a really good feeling when you have like your EX Fireball set play, and you could just easily just jump over her DP, and then she gets hit by the EX Fireball, and you get to fully confirm on her way down. Okay, what other matchups did we disagree on before I start dying again of laughter? You said Zoe was even. I said Zoe was advantageous, slightly. Okay, moving on. So what made you think that Zoe was even? Did Omni cythe die? Where's Omni cythe? Did you pick him up the Discord call?
There
No,
he
I
is.
had myself on mute. I started giggling midway through your talk, and I just realized I was mute. So as far as Zoe goes, I feel like neutral wise, like you're both occupying roughly the same space, maybe a little more in Zoe's case. The projectiles have like almost like a rock paper scissors dynamic of how Lance goes about fighting against her options with her dragon. But the thing is, they both have really oppressive corner pressure. Once one of them gets knocked down, and there's like no way I could go. Lance got a clear advantage where it's just like she doesn't let you play harder than Lance doesn't let you play once you get knocked down. And even though Lance kind of has like loopable pressure, Hux is like dramatically worse, especially if they have good timing. I mean, not good timing. Good like conscious on keeping the dragon all up. To the point where, yeah, there's no way I could think of it as like a pure advantage. They both have their little anti option. They're almost similar in nature to the point that I can't say there's a clear advantage.
Okay, so for me, I think Lancelot does have a slight clear advantage. I think like if they nerfed Zoe sweep, so the fact that it wouldn't interrupt Wrecker pressure, I think this would be like almost borderline 6-4. But that one tool kind of keeps them a little bit more honest. So in regards to her pressure, I do think Lance does a slightly better job at pressuring than Zoe. Things that I think that make up the matchup slightly better is Lance's damage output is slightly better. There's also the fact that for me, it feels like whenever I'm fighting Zoe, I feel like Zoe is taking more of an excessive risk than I am, and especially when it comes to her air actions. So if she tries to like DP, right? If she does LDP, she's -2. I get to five. If she does LDP, that's -2. I do 5/8, take my turn back, and she's in my range effectively. If she does HDP, that's a free 2H. I take like 45% now because I don't know why you decided to jump at me. If she does Air EX Lightning, that's a free get in for me because now I can spot like, and I feel like it's a little bit easier now because you could tell when they want to do EX Lightning versus when they want to do EXTP in certain ranges. So if I know that I'm at a range where she can't hit me with EX, if I know I'm at a range where she can't hit me with like EXTP, I know EX Lightning is coming, and she just neutral jump to see what I would do. That's a free spot dodge. I can punish it with 6/6C on her landing. Now I'm at like range 0 against her, and I'm pushing her closer to the corner. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Now I get to like kill you now. Zoe's also one of those matchups where like having SSBA changes neutral a bit for you, where if she does Air EX Lightning, that's a free spot dodge and that's a free SSBA for you. So now she's taking a free 4,200 damage because she wanted to try and like bait your anti-air. So I do think like it's momentum heavy in a sense, but at the same time, if I feel like Zoe is overextending more than I am in a sense for less result, might I add. Like even in the mid-range game where like okay, she's trying to like do 2M into what is it, 214X. Like I'm like, okay, we're playing neutral. If I see you 2M, that is easily reactable with fall 5H into Blade Impulse. That's a free fall 5H into Blade Impulse or a free fall 5H into not SSBA, into SBA. So it's just like, okay. And even if like she gets the 2M, it's really not confirmed whether like she's trying to react and get the hit confirmed. So it's just like, okay, I will take that damage and push you to the corner and then possibly maul you. So it's just like we're doing the same thing, but I do it better, and my reward is better in a sense for me. But if she gets me in the corner and she has Dragon, now like the scale is heavily tipped in her favor. But that requires her to have extraneous resources that she may or may not have at any given point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
where else did we disagree? We're not gonna talk about Bellio because that's the obvious one. Shit, close down the stream chat.
I think the only other ones is both Beelzebub and possibly.
It was Beelzebub, Jita, and Zeta.
Oh, in Jita's case, I'll just keep that short. I'm just like, and like I haven't really played the matchup since almost all the Jitas outside of Naji went in hiding, so it's just a carryover from the last patch. And then what else was the other? Well, I'll just let you talk.
So for Jita, I think like the EX record change and the M record change kind of put her at a disadvantage. You can argue like I wouldn't be against arguing that it's even, but at the same time, like the fact that if you try to like EX Rekka, that's a free punish for Lance now. I'm like, oh shit, that kind of changes the game a bit. And unlike certain people's normals, only 5H. I feel like it's a little bit easier to react to M Rekka and call it out, which again is a free 5H. So I think it comes down to neutral tools in a sense. But as beforehand, Jita can't command the neutral with as much gusto, I guess is the word, in comparison to last season, just doing M Rekka or H Rekka or whatever. So that mid range game change kind of helps Lance because now her EX Fireball is just like, okay, I'm gonna just sweep you. Like it reserves what she can do in the mid range that makes it slightly more comfortable for Lance, in my opinion.
So what else is
Uh,
Beelzebub and Zeta?
yeah, Beelzebub and Zeta.
So the reason I put Beelzebub as even is because he pretty much, they're still like the carryovers from last season, but not only did his reward tends to like go up in various places, but he tends to get like free chip essentially off his 214, I think it's 214X, right? And Lance
You
is
know,
not,
swipes.
yeah, whatever the swipes are called, I'm not sure. And I play the characters, but but for the most part, he just commands neutral pretty well against Lance. His DP gotten a little bit fast, not faster, but harder to get like the most optimal punish. So I think at worst you still get like a far 5-8, far 8, into like 6-6 punish if you block it, instead of like the close range. Now you're gonna die. Hold the close range 5-8. Outside of that, his teleport, I felt like he got a little faster, but 100% sure. But it makes like trying to hold the projectile in neutral against them a little harder. So with like projectile being like neutral projectile being less incentivized, or heck, corner projectile, because sorry, he could just escape the corner, if not just hit you forward and actually get a convert. So that's kind of like why I put him more even this time around than where I would have had him last time.
I agree with most points. I do think that like Lance holds a certain advantage in just like archetypes alone. I could see the argument being for even, but like the fact that I feel like in order for Bubs to play this matchup, he has to play at the range that I want him to, which is pretty much closer to me than he wants to be. Gives me like a better advantage in the approach, because I'm just like, okay, you know you can't zone me because I can just easily just jump over your EX fireball or any fireball for that matter. Your heavy DP got faster, but it's not fast enough to prevent me from micro dashing and 5Hing you and killing you. So it's just like where he did get buffs, buffs outside of the teleport don't mean much to Lance in a sense. Like, because none of these, like, how to put it? It's like they buffed him, but they didn't buff him where it would matter to a Lance in a sense. But I could see the argument for even. And I think the last one we had is Zeta. So because I know we're talking about Zeta, I'm just gonna lower the top audio anyways, because I know Realize is gonna come in like maybe 4 to 5 minutes into this conversation and say something. So I'm just gonna say ahead of time. Choose your words very. Oh my god! Choose your words very wisely, because Realize is here.
So pretty much, I feel like the new like her neutral option, like it'd be like 2M, that ridiculous far 5H, which is still like ridiculous in the era of everyone else's far H getting touched, and then the random thrust, which is kind of get a little harder to punish because like with the range that people are like now properly doing thrusts, they're actually holding like enough advantage so that like they're safe but not punishable at all. Like I even seen shenanigans nowadays where I can't even like 6-6 punish like EX thrust because they're getting just out of range, and I'm like, wait, when the hell did this started happening? Like I start auto following my 6-H and it's just whipping past it. But besides that, I don't really think the pogo chain had any benefits to Lance, with it not being overhead that past like second and third, and that's still it's still pretty much roughly the same case for him. Outside of that, like this is where I would have had the character at last patch anyway. So I don't think that. So with her plus her buffs, I think this is still like a pretty safe spot for me to put her. But what's your take on it?
I actually kind of like I could see Lancelot Zeta being even, like, after fighting Realize a couple of times, I'm just like, okay, I can see that I'm trying to bully you a little too hard now, and I do agree that Lance gets to bully her a little. By the way, this is all going to be redacted after this video because I'm not going to let Realize hold me accountable for what I'm saying now. So that being said, I do think like Lance does get to bully her a little bit easier than she gets to bully us, and then the Pogo mix really isn't that concerning because it's like, all right. So in my head, her OS works best in the corner, and mid screen is a little bit like harder for her. So what I realized, like the ideal thing to do might be is just like do like if you're gonna deal with Pokémon, just do it mid screen because the reward is substantially less than doing it in the corner. And after that point, it's just like, okay, you got me, cool. Now what? Because they're never gonna do it. They're never gonna do EX at first. They always do the normal version. So at that point, I'm like, okay, you hit me, but now we just have to resume neutral again. Now I'm just like, I'm fine doing that versus Zeta. Again, this is one of those matchups where Lance having SSBA changes neutral because if she does Spear of Arvis and tries to retreat, that's a free SSBA punish. It doesn't matter what she does. I don't even care at that point if she's like trying to hit me because I've already maxed it out and I'm getting my free 4200 damage for you being an idiot. What I will say though is like I do enjoy the aspect of like the OS game in the corner though, because Zeta can call out Turbulence. I think she's like one of the few characters that can consistently call it out. And if she chooses to do so, she understands that she may be putting her life on the line because if she fucks up and I dodge, that's a free 5H punish and she can't do shit about it. So what will happen is she'll do her program mix. I dodge. She does upstream of Arvis. You can quickly like double tap 5U for the dash and stop, and by doing so, unless they like preemptively call it out, which they probably will never do at first, it puts you at a range that no matter what she does, she can't hit you upon landing. But at the same time, you could still react. You're at a range where no matter what Spear of Arvis she does, you could react to it and punish accordingly. So it puts you in like a really good safe zone. So that will be kind of like detrimental to her unless she opts to like say, okay, I know I'm gonna get hit, so I'm gonna retreat I'm gonna go like out, I'm gonna aim outside the corner. So it's just like, okay, that's the option you went with, that's understandable. At least you return to mid screen. But at the same time, it's just like, okay, now we're back to mid screen. I'm gonna mix you again, and you have to guess. So I don't know. It feels like we're both overextending, but it feels like I get like a better exchange out of it. Like I feel like for every dollar she gives me, I can make that dollar like $2, but every dollar I give her, it will still remain $1. I guess is the best way to put it. But I think that was all the discrepancies we had in terms of the tier list. Oh, and her having armor is really never a factor to me. I don't really care about if she wakes up armor because I'm gonna just block it. We block it. I 2H it. Now you die. But you die worse if you try to like land with something. I don't know why you would try to land against Lancelot like that. Oh no, I just 2H it. I'm like, fuck it. Like I want to see
the fact that we haven't had like a Twitter compilation of like doing fancy after, specifically on Zeta when she does that, is beyond me, because that's pretty much like perfect timing to actually do like the 2G6 and then just do whatever follow up you want. It's all free.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lab it outside. I'm gonna go lab it outside and see what I can find. But yeah, okay, cool. I get my Twitter clip. Like I think I was fighting Gandito. I think it was. I forgot what tournament it was, and he did armor, and I'm just like, oh, great, I win. And he did armor into something, and I was like, all right, fuck it, 2/8 into SSBA win condition. I'm like, hey, I win. So it's just like, okay, cool. I think that's one of the reasons I stick to 2H instead of 5H. Is just like I get to free launch into SSBA, so it is what it is. So I think all we have left in terms of tier list matchup charts is Lord Diaphone and Tempest. So which one of you two want to go first?
I don't really care. Up to you guys. Or up to you, Tempest.
I don't mind either. So
Okay. Hey, I'm curious, Teiga, what was the timer for that?
Oh shit!
I don't think you put on the timer
I never
right.
started the timer. I have the stream marker up, but I never actually started the timer.
And I think I'm gonna try to go for the record. So
Okay, go ahead.
the shortest record, not the fame record, not the 3 hour
No,
beats
no,
that's
no,
bad.
no, no. That's the
All right, it's out. All right, so I'm starting this time now. So 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So hear me out. I think most of Zoe's matchups are even. I think in general this game, or at least for Zoe, she's pretty balanced and she has a lot of different tools to counteract other characters' tools. So just Cagliostro and Jita, what I think you want a few different things when you fight against Zoe, right? I think you want a forward advancing move. I think you want really good pressure. I think you want a DP to deter her offense. I think you want ways to counteract some of her tools in neutral, like her far 5M or her 2M. And Cagliostro has like none of those things. So I think Zoe has really good ways to get around Cagliostro. Her traps between lightning, the ability to charge to force Cag to her. I think that's probably like Zoe's best matchup right now. And then Jita, I think, is good because you can do air lightning a lot easier against her than most other characters because no forward advancing move. You can charge up easier against her. Jita has a really hard time throwing fireballs because of all the ways Zoe has to go around with it. Zoe outranges Jita on the ground. And so that's why I think those matchups are a little bit better than even. Even or close to even. I'd say, I mean, I'm not gonna go over all of these, right? I mean, I have a guy on YouTube. Not too much has changed from season 1 to season 2. But to give you the basics, like I think these characters have things that can challenge Zoe on the ground or make it harder for her to play neutral. So, for example, Soares, right? That's probably the one people are like, hey, I thought Soares was bottom 1 in the game. He probably is, but the tools that Soares has actually do pretty well against Zoe, right? Like, Zoe doesn't like forward advancing moves, and Soares has one of the best, right? And Soares' pressure is actually pretty good against Zoe because you can space out the rapid punches and be at a range where EXDP basically beats out any option except like a 2L or something like that. So you get those advanced extended pressure mind games, and so he doesn't have a DP to get out. Some of the other ones like Narm and Beelzebub, they're probably like similar or close to the same strength character. They both have tools that kind of cancel each other out. Matera, yeah, was probably one of the ones I was thinking about switching maybe to 5.5, 4.5. But I feel like Matera's one of those characters, like if you play her perfectly, she's really hard to get in. And I don't know. And Japanese Materas destroy Japanese Zoes, so that one's kind of tough. But yeah, it's just Zoe has tools. The characters also have tools to navigate neutral. Feels pretty even. Zoe's pressure is really good against most of them. And then the bad ones, yeah, Belial. Belial's probably like pretty close to even, but I think Belial's just so strong and kind of the risk reward of everything Belial does is kind of crazy. So even though Zoe wins neutral in that matchup, which makes this matchup a lot better than like let's say Sora's versus Belial, which that matchup's like actually terrible. Because Zoe does pretty well in neutral, that it makes the matchup close to even. Percival, I think one of the things Zoe does not like is command grabs because again she doesn't have a DP, and you see Ladiva, for example, I put 5-5 because Zoe wins neutral in that matchup. Even though Ladiva has a command grab, has to make me guess when I get up close. At least I win neutral. Percival, I'd say maybe the neutral's a bit even, but Percival has better ways to mix me up, so that's why I have that 4.5. And then Fairy, it's just getting in on Fairy is really tough, and now she has a plus on block dive kick. So she, I mean, obviously she took nerfs in certain directions, but just the fact that Fairy has strong enough neutral to keep Zoe out and win neutral significantly enough, I think that's a 4.5. And then Basaraga, I think it's like, I don't know if it's 4-6. It might be a little bit better than that. But he has the same thing going on. He has a command grab. He has ways to mix you up. but he probably wins neutral a little bit harder than Percival, just because you don't want to let Basara. There's like, it doesn't feel like there's a range where Zoe really wins, because if you're really far away, Basaraga gets armor. If you're mid range, Basaraga pokes have a little bit more distance, and then yeah, when they get close, it's kind of scary to deal with. So yeah, that's why I think it's 4-6. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And then, like I said, if you want more detail, I have a 2-hour guide on YouTube, but not really much has changed since season 1, honestly, other than like the nerfs to shows, which made those matchups better. That's it. What's the time we're at?
We are at. God damn it, wrong one. 5 minutes.
All right, I'll take it. That's my speed run. But yeah, if you guys got questions, let me know.
Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I think last but not least, we've saved Tempest.
Yeah.
Allow me to start. Allow me to get your timer ready. You can start in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
You
So
actually started. Oh, never mind. There.
wait. So okay. Yeah, I think a lot of Charlotta's matchups are outside of the ones that are 6-4. I think a lot of her matchups feel very close to even because she has a lot of tools at her disposal to fight pretty much every character in the game. I think Lewayne is really easy for her for the most part because she can just rush him down, and Lewayne hates that. If you can just rush him down and stop him from even setting up in neutral, he has bad defensive options too, so that's bad. I think Charlotta versus Fairy is like outside of like probably Sori's probably like her best matchup because she literally just can just stop Fairy from playing her normal game plan. Her jump in that matchup is absolutely insane. Fairy has so many issues dealing with jump H. All versions of Ball are good against her. Demon Flip is good against her. Sweep is good against her. Charlotte can crush her normals. It's pretty hard for her to fight her. Or yeah, like it's just really bad. And I think her having low life is like the icing on the cake. It's really good. Sora's, I actually think this is one of the worst matchups in the entire game. I know Sora's Ladiva is also really bad, but I don't know. I think Charlotta just beats him very badly. It's really bad. I don't know. Like I played this matchup a good amount actually, and I also sub Soris, and it just feels like you can't do much. Like even if he gets in, it's not like anything bad for her to deal with. Her far L is just too ridiculous. Her DP is good enough to deal with him. So yeah. A lot of these other matchups are kind of self-explanatory, but if anyone wants to ask any questions, please ask. I'm not going to try and go over the even ones since a lot of these matchups are very similar to last version. The only matchups I probably want to touch upon are like stuff like Lance and Zeta and probably Cag too.
Oh, you definitely got to touch Lance because I will not sit here and take this blasphemy in my face.
Right, so here's my thing with Lance, right? When I was first thinking of my matchup against Lance, I wasn't really sure where to put him. For context, everyone knows Launch Lance was ridiculous, but I thought that matchup back then was even. And I know other Japanese Lancelots thought the same, and it's only gotten better over time, actually. It's really only gotten better. In last version, I was on the fence of whether it was advantage or not. I said at the end of the day, I think I said it was even. But I think in this version, I think Charlotta. It's really close, but I do think Charlotta wins now only because of the fact that EX Turbulence got nerfed even more on defense. Because I mentioned at the beginning of the stream how ridiculous the 2-2H damage was on Groundbound, and that deterred me from using one of my good moves, 2-1-4M, and I don't feel nearly as deterred as before. But the other change that was also good for her was 2M. So I do think the 2M change is overall a buff, but I do
Your
think
2M or my 2M?
Huh? What happened?
Your 2M or my 2M?
Your 2M.
Okay.
So that change is overall a buff, but the fact that his 2M is a bit harder to challenge L ball with, and now that it completely loses to H ball is really good. So now he has to do far H to really stop balls from going off, which I enjoy a lot. And outside of those 2 points, the matchup is pretty similar. I mean, EX teleport does not exist against Charlotta on defense. I mean, if you're doing it right on offense, unless you're going for a throw, you can literally OS SSBA or DP every single time. Neutral against them is outside of Fireball good because they play in similar ranges, but she's like more scary because of risk reward. I will say Lancelot has one of the best anti-airs against her because 2H is really good, especially even if you just neutral jump and you don't even press anything, he gets like a full conversion, which is really good. But I don't know. I think this matchup has only gotten better over time. And even though Lance is better now than last version, I actually think this matchup is better now. In my opinion, I do think you can argue it's even though, and I wouldn't just disagree because I mean, it's really close. I don't believe in 5.2s or something, but if there was a 5.2 in my mind, it would be this matchup. What's another character? Oh, Cagliostro. I think so I think Cag has a good amount of issues against her because she has no defensive options. She has no defensive options, and she's really bad at dealing with the Blanca ball. So I think that's really bad for her. And I think the thing that's probably the worst about the matchup for sure is the fact that the Blanca ball completely stops the traps. So I think that's pretty bad. I have to probably fight the character a bit more, but so far I do think Charlotta wins a bit.
You could just ball her for trapping.
Yeah, like if you do EX ball, it clears every single trap. It's like Vasarago walking.
Pain.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So the traps essentially do not help much in neutral. Like she can thread into space with 5H or far M or something, but it's not a big deal. And Charlotta beats her in risk reward heavily. So yeah, I think Charlotta beats her, but I do want to play it more. Quick note on Beelzebub. I think Beelzebub got a lot of good buffs. I just think Charlotta just beats him. Like I played the matchup a decent amount the post patch, and it's very similar to last version. It's just Beelzebub is really annoying. I hate this character, but I do think Charlotta beats him pretty well. Although it's a bit harder. I still think it's about 5.5, but I don't know. I do think the risk reward's too bad. What other matchup? Oh, first of all, so this matchup.
Fuck that
could
matchup
either
now.
I mean, I think you can still argue it's slight disadvantage. I definitely think it's even though because the Fireball nerf, specifically the Fireball and Far M nerf.
Fuck that matchup
Actually-
now. Oh God, I hate
Like-
this matchup. Like I have to sit here and I'm sitting here trying to play chess with a toddler who's probably just throwing accurate shit at me.
Yeah,
Fuck
this matchup definitely got easier. Like I don't have to deal with a bunch of stuff. I actually did not think last version that the matchup was that bad. I actually rather would fight Percival than Ladiva last version. And well, it just got easier, so that's nice. Yeah, no, especially since his damage mid screen got nerfed, this matchup became a lot more tolerable. Quick note on Lance, and speaking of you, Teiga, but I really never get to fight Lance a lot much anymore because y'all always counterpicking me with these characters. Like, are we gonna play the matchup or like what are we doing?
Damn fucking right, but counter pick you. I want to play fucking neutral.
You too, Omni. You're not escaping me, Omni. Like you're trying to pick Bilal. Like, what's going on? Like, I never get to play this matchup.
Listen, fam, I want to play
Even,
neutral.
you're picking.
I
What?
want to
I'm
play
bad,
neutral.
okay?
That's all I want. I have good, clean fun. I'm trying to play neutral with you. Meanwhile, you trying to throw a brick at me.
Wait, I'm playing neutral. I'm playing footsies though.
All right. When we say footsies, does this count like the 5 jumps that will happen eventually?
I don't jump that much. What?
Nah. Tempest don't jump that much. Come on.
Yeah, Tempest is the jumper.
Wait, did he just say Tempest
It's
is the?
only your other glue eating Charlotte. I be jumping.
Listen, I just want to play neutral. I just want to poke things with my. I just want to poke. You're not gonna let me do this. You're not gonna let me do this. You're not gonna let me do this. You just gonna. And I'm gonna be tight. No. I just want to. Just let me do this. That's it.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it on Percival. And I had Matera on 5.5. I do think Matera could be even or considered even. I've literally I think her nerfs combined with the Charlotta buffs, plus her previous issues in the matchup even before the patch, really just make it slightly advantageous. But I think you could argue it's even. Ladiva is the other matchup. I think Ladiva overall, I mean, it's basically a risk reward thing. It's pretty obnoxious. I could still see it. If someone said Charlotta slightly loses, I could sort of believe it. But I do think Charlotta is way more equipped to deal with Ladiva, especially with the anti-air buff, so I can actually anti-air her more consistently. I do think, that matchup is a lot more bearable. I thought the last version that matchup was really hard, but yeah, I think that matchup's a lot better now. Especially another nerf that they nerfed her SSBA and SBA, so you can actually just jump her SSBA if you OS it properly, if I remember correctly, this version, which is good. For Zeta, I actually think this matchup is even-ish, but I kind of have it there because I do think it's kind of hard. I don't really think it's that bad, but
Okay.
it's because it's just really tricky. I played it a lot, so I'm not really. I definitely have the experience. It's just really tricky. I'm not hard leaning disadvantage though. The only character I do think that Charlotta for sure loses to, even though it's not by much, is Bilal, because I mean it's Bilal, so it is what it is. I do think Charlotta does a lot better against him than most characters, but yeah. But yeah, there's a couple of characters that can move around, but overall, this is what I think.